for bill and stuff like that, and then making those calls. Other than that, I'm gonna yield back the rest of my time and take any questions from the board members and the public attendees.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant. Starting with Corinne.
Oh, I was curious about your ride-along program that HPD has. I there's not a category for, neighborhood board members per se, but it does say on your website that other members of the community may participate at the discretion of the Community Affairs Division or the District Patrol Commander. And I was thinking that it might be helpful for board members that might be interested in doing a ride along to learn more about the issues that your officers face in this area. And I wondered if you could comment on that.
Absolutely, Karine. Very good question. You got to look at the super, super fine print on the bottom where it says you just got to email this lieutenant right here, and then we're going to take care of it for you. We can get you a ride along pretty much immediately. Anybody on the board, especially the board members, you're welcome to do a ride along. I'll do it personally, or if you want to, do it with a officer, in a regular white car, and go to cases and see the types of cases we go to. It's highly advised. That way you can kind of feel the pulse of the people that's doing the actual work and stuff like that. But anytime, I'm gonna post I'll send you my email address, and then if you just send me your information, I'll send the forms. In
Thank you
fact,
so much.
one of the people, I think Chuck had actually did a ride along with me. You can maybe speak with him later and see how it was. But yeah, I'll send you my email.
Awesome.
you.
Thank you very much. I guess next, I'm afraid I can't read the nameplate there, but Logan.
Hi, Lieutenant. This is Eric Slasa. Question about my neighborhood and racing in my neighborhood. I live on Round Top Drive. I think I've mentioned in meetings past, but I've seen this past month, October, and the beginning of this month, November, I've seen a huge uptick in racing up my neighborhood. They're going up to the lookout on Round Top Drive side primarily, and then they come back down about 15, 20 minutes later. It's groups of anywhere between 2 and 7 cars at a time, all racing at high speed, well above the speed limit, extreme loud exhaust noise. It's weird because, I grew up on the mountain. Back in the day, it was more of the sound systems that kind of echoed through the valley of Makiki as they went up Round Top Drive up to the lookout, joyriding. But nowadays, it's kind of switched to racing, and which is, in my opinion, way more dangerous. It's not just cars, it's motorcycles, it's mopeds, it's e-bikes, it's the whole gamut. And it's, the volume is kind of crazy these days. So, it's waking up me and my family. I'm sure other people, residents on Round Top Drive. So yeah, my main concern is the racing because it's in hours, after 10 p.m. So from 10 p.m. to about 2 a.m. is kind of the peak for these racers, which, I get it. The lookout's closed, supposed to be closed at 10 p.m., but that's when they know they can go back up there. So I was seeing if there's any kind of solution other than I try to call it in when it does happen. I called in twice this month in November so far, on racing on late night like that. But it's too late by them. I try to give descriptions, but they're flying by. Is there a way to have, I live at the very bottom of Round Top Drive, maybe some new ideas, like possibly having an officer parked, at the very beginning of Round Top Drive with his lights on as maybe a deterrent, kind of keep those racers in check. Problem is they're coming in, late hours. So I don't know if that's even feasible, but, speed humps are another idea of mine, but I'm just, it's getting to a point where I'm sure my neighbors agree the noise and the frequency of this racing is out of hand. So I think we just need to do something to nip it in the butt is all. Thank you, officer.
Yeah, definitely. Great question. Speed humps are a fantastic idea. I think that's also something that we can, have the city kind of look at. In regards to the increase in the activity in that area, usually these racers, they like to drift their vehicles around corners. And usually if it starts to rain, is usually a good time that these guys start to head up because it kind of gives enough frictional loss so that these guys can do their, their stunts and drifting and stuff like that. It really haphazard. We go up on the mountain numerous times a week, numerous times a week. People losing control, going into ditches, going into bushes and stuff like that. The deterrence, parking, sometimes what we do on the heavy weekends, especially on a Friday and Saturday, is we park a vehicle with their blue lights on. And in fact, I've done it myself just to alleviate some of the staffing pressures off of my officers because I think more of our action that's kind of more pervasive, more criminal, is on the lower part of Wilder. So we need our officers at that location. So I go up there myself and I park my vehicle with the blue light on. However, sometimes these guys they know, right? I mean, they um they count vehicles. Once they see one of our guys go back down, they go back up. We kind of know where they're hanging out. I'm not going to discuss what the tactics that we're using to kind of combat these guys. They like to meet up at particular places. We send guys over there, no lights on, count vehicles, get license plates, stuff like that, and try to see if we can fix that. Try to mitigate that situation before they start heading up. But I totally agree. It is a public nuisance. There was an incident several years ago where a cyclist was critically injured when she was hit. I mean, it made the news. Speed humps is good. We do often send reserve officers there during the early morning, but they start at 5. But usually by that time, there's very little traffic in regards to those types of racers. But you know what? I'll bring that back to my command, and I'll try to see on night watch if we can just step up patrols in the area.
Awesome. That's great, Lieutenant. Thank you.
No problem, sir.
Okay, next we have Paul.
Oh, aloha. Thank you very. Where's my video? Okay, hi. Thank you, officer. 3 quick things constituents in this area are asking me about on the intersection of Heulu and sorry.
Sorry, I think we lost him.
Yeah, he cut off mid-sentence.
About
Paul,
3
you still there?
yes.
Oh, sorry.
Can you
Paul,
hear
try
me?
again. You got cut off real bad.
Sorry. Can you hear me okay now? Okay. On the intersection of Makiki and Heulu, there's on that corner there almost every night, and I've gone down there. I can't tell you how many times begging people not to park there because it makes it a blind corner looking up Makiki. People go to the stop sign and pull out, and we've had people wiped out. I can't tell you how many times I've been down there with my first aid kit as a first responder, helping people out to the fire department and police show up. And it's getting crazier and crazier. And it's just there's almost always the same license plates. The second thing is there's explosions over here almost every night now around 11 o'clock, really loud ones. I don't know if you guys are tracking it or trying to figure out what's going on. I've heard it. My neighbors have heard it. They've asked me about it. Excuse me, please. But if it just those 2 main things, if I cover those tonight, I'd really be grateful if you could help. Thank you.
Absolutely, no problem. So in regards to the Makiki and Hiulu, that parking situation, I know you've called numerous times and we went down there to check it to see if there was any type of violation. I know in certain situations, it's kind of a blind curve or a blind exit for that business or that actual apartment unit. But if they're not in violation of the 4 feet or they're not, other violations are observed, I think we're gonna have to use some common discretion in regards to that, right? But if you see a type of those types of violations, just continue to call, have my officers go over there and take a look at it. They're well aware of that Makiki and Hiulu location. So but if you see a violation really obvious, just go ahead and give us a call. And then in regards to the large booms, possibly fireworks, I'm not too sure, but it is getting close to Christmas and New Year's, yeah. So obviously the city and county of Honolulu has a very pervasive problem with illegal fireworks, right? So I in fact, on the last meeting right after New Year's, I had made suggestions that I think lawmakers need to take a look at this law because obviously it's not working. If you're telling us that the constituents are not wanting these fireworks, I mean, come up to Kali or drive over to Waipau and they're telling you something different. So, with that being said, continue to call. It's real difficult for us to chase these people down because they usually come out like the fireworks. Once it's discharged, they run back into their homes. But I had personally spoken to all of my officers that they shall make checks, shall make checks of these areas. They're not just driving by. What they need to do is they need to try to get out and feel the pulse of the people, speak with people, and find out if we can, have them at least point us to the right direction, so that at least we can do a knock and burn, where we can go ahead and knock on the residents and try to see if they can just, hey, knock it off, kind of thing. But please continue to call. We'll go out and service those calls every time you give us a call, Mr. Kling.
Thank you. Yes, mostly the PTSD patients that call me. They're really
Absolutely.
upsets them. And
Absolutely.
on Makiki, it's just what is the law as far as parking at a corner? Can you still park right up to the edge of the corner? Is that legal? That's what I thought was the illegal part, not our driveway.
Well, you know what? Let me go just double check because I've sent my officers up there. They're telling me that in certain cases it's okay, and then in certain cases they've cited. So let me go and take a look at that location. And the reason why that parking is very bad in that location is parking is a premium. Some people don't even have stalls in parking in their buildings, or they have one. How many families have maybe 2 or 3 cars? So it's really difficult. So what we want to do is we just want to make sure that everybody can park their vehicles, but in turn, keep the location kind of safe for the others, that need to utilize the area. So I'll go take a look at it tonight. I'm on duty tonight. I'll go take a look at it, Mr. Kling.
If you need me, you can call me, or I'll probably see you down there anyways. Is there anything I can do to help?
Absolutely.
Need to solicit for new laws or new signs or whatever I have to do, I'll do it.
Absolutely. If you see a white Forerunner over there, just come on down. I'll have a talk with you and conversation with you.
Mahalo.
Okay, next, Hugh Kojima.
Hi, Lieutenant. It's Hugh Kojima. I'm the person that you spoke to about the wall, the graffiti on Makiki / Keamoku. Yeah, I completely understand the difficulty in trying to contact the owner, etc. But just as first as a general comment, just as someone was talking about increased activity of racing on Round Top, we've seen also an increase in people parking on the side of the road and sleeping in them, and we've also seen an increase in rubbish being left on the side of the road. So I just actually drove up 2 seconds ago, and I saw that there was a it's either a washer or a dryer left on the side of the road. There's a suitcase. So I mean, I understand it's just you see rubbish, we call it in, and someone picks it up, and it's just a never-ending cycle. But just to let you know that is a situation. And then the second comment / question was, after we spoke on the meeting last month about the graffiti, I followed up with I believe his name is Brandon Shiraishi on the community policing. I sent him an email. It was about 2 weeks after we spoke, just to see what the situation was. And I understand that everyone is extremely busy and short-staffed, but is it the general protocol to, what do when we send emails to the community policing members, should we expect a response? Because every email that I've sent to him, I don't get responses. So yeah, I guess this is a general comment and question about how to best communicate with our community policing members.
That's a very good question, Hugh. So so in regards to the graffiti, the trash, and the illegal dumping, we've been monitoring that location. We've monitored the whole hill per se, because there's a lot of illegal dumping and a lot of trash being left behind on the hill. We've actually caught a lot of landscapers taking their trucks up there and then dumping off their green waste over the sides. So we've cited those guys, and then criminal cases were generated, yeah, in regards to those offenses. So I totally understand. In regards to Brandon Shirishi, so I'll email you on the side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you the. Well, in fact, I'm gonna email you, and then I'm gonna
Okay.
CC uh Captain Haishin Lin. He's the captain. So yeah, CPT, they're not in this office. They have a offsite office. They deal with a lot of stuff. I mean, and
I'm
but
sure.
that's no reason not to respond to particular emails and stuff like that. I apologize for him. If there's anything more pressing, please send it to me, and I'll try to see if I can handle it or take care of it. But just a suggestion in regards to these racers on the hill. So at this point in time, there's still construction going on the top, yeah. So it's kind of cut off. It's bad and it's good in a sense. It's bad for us is because if we are on one side of the mountain, on the round top side, we can't cross over to the Tantalus side in order to make checks in one fell swoop. We would have to come down the mountain and then come up Powina Drive and then come up Tantalus. That's another 20, 30 minutes. Sometimes these racers or whatever, or these people that are doing illegal things upstairs or up above on the hill, they see us coming, right? Or they know that we're coming, so they leave. My suggestion is when the construction's done, maybe a cattle gate that keeps that location kind of split so that these guys that are going up there and doing unscrupulous stuff can't get away from us by moving over into the other side. Just a suggestion. Speed humps are good, right at the turns, but that's gonna take the city to do, yeah. So we were just dealing with a lot of down trees the other week because of high winds and stuff like that. So that's also another hazard for people hanging out in that location too. So, but yeah, definitely, I'll email you and then I'll CC the captain so that way you get a better response from the CPT.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Absolutely.
Next is that Chuck? Oh, Logan. I see a hand is raised, I guess, from someone in person.
Oh, my bad. I meant to put it down, Nathan.
Okay. Is there anyone? Okay, so I think we've gotten through the board members. Are there any members of the audience who have any questions for the lieutenant? Hearing nothing and seeing none. Thank you very much, Lieutenant.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.
Yep. And so next is Board of Water Supply.
Hey, aloha, everybody. Good evening. My name's Michelle Harmon. I'm your Board of Water Supply representative. And I just have a couple quick two events to share. One is our 2024 calendar is out now. It's available at the Baratania location. And the contest is open for the next calendar. And the deadline is February 28th. And then this Saturday from 10 to 2 at the Honolulu Zoo, we'll have a celebration of ohia. So the Ohia Love Fest. It's a really important species to have in our forests to make sure that our forests are healthy, and healthy forests mean healthy water. So if you'd like to attend a really fun and educational family event, it's at the Honolulu Zoo this Saturday from 10 to 2. And that's all I have for you, other than if you folks have questions for me.
Okay, let's start with any questions from board members. Hearing and seeing none, anyone from the public have any questions? Hearing and seeing none, thank you very much, Michelle. Have a good one.
You too.
And next up on the agenda is filling of vacancies. There's one vacancy for Sub-District 1. Any residents interested in filling a vacant board seat must bring current proof of residency to the board meeting or contact neighborhood assistant Logan Hutchinson to verify residency in advance. Do we have any volunteers to join our board with Sub-District 1? I guess I see and hear nobody, so we'll go and move on to new business. Concerns regarding the Makiki State Park. Do we have any of the skaters here that I asked to join this meeting? Leela, are you here and able to say anything? Logan, if you're able to, I guess, request that, I think there's the phone number there, 808-3 ending in 13, ask that they unmute.
Okay, I just sent the request.
Oh, sorry. Hi. I wasn't aware that I was muted. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Leela from representing Makiki Skate Park.
Yep. So yeah, go
Um,
ahead and you've expressed to me a number of concerns regarding the skate park, so this is the perfect time to
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we were just wondering if it was possible to get lights for the park, just because, now with, skateboard being an official Olympic sport and, it gaining more popularity, and also we, because, like the basketball court has lights, the tennis courts have lights, we were just wondering if we could request that also for the skate park. And maybe then it'll also keep that area of the park a little bit safer too, because it'll be more lit.
Yep. Yeah. And I think did you have any? I forgot. Did you have anything regarding like cleaning the air or keeping the area nice and tidy, or the like other things like that?
Yeah. Well, I feel like the skaters that I know have been proactively trying to keep the park clean. We'll do sweeps. Sometimes there actually is like human feces in the park. The trash and things like that. We have been trying to keep everything clean, but sometimes it can't be helped. People will come by and they'll, like, one time non-skaters were throwing glass bottles into the park and shattering glass all over the ground, which is really dangerous for everyone. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can even ask for that to be helped manage, because I know it's not part of the actual park. That's what the park people were saying, that the skate park is not a part of them, so they can't do anything to help keep anything clean. So I'm not really sure what I can request for that, but I guess the least that we would be interested in are lights.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I guess in response to that, Councilmember Calvin, say you do you have any input? If Calvin is there.
I'm here. What was the question? The jurisdiction of the state park, huh?
Yeah.
Is it considered a state park, or is it a city and county park?
We were told that it wasn't part of the park.
And who is it tied to then? The state of Hawaii state parks?
I'm honestly not sure. When we went and asked, especially during a certain time of the year when the monkey pods start falling everywhere, I just asked because I remember in the past.
Yes.
Sorry, I remember in the past we were there was a really nice guy who worked at Makiki who would come around and just, out of the goodness of his heart would leaf blow the park for us. But he no longer works there. So and then when I asked, I was like, oh, what happened to, the leaf blowing? I was told that that the park was not a part of Makiki Park, so they had no
Okay.
responsibility to help keep it clean.
Halfway through, I think you
Let's
get tired and, like,
let's get that question clarified. Okay, Nathan, we'll get that
Okay.
question clarified.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because I know you put in you said a request for lights under there, and it's because it's part of
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
state you said or something like that before.
Are you gonna go?
Are you talking to me or?
Oh no, sorry, I was
sorry.
talking to Calvin.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, I didn't put in any park lights for Makiki Park.
Okay.
Skate rink. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll be there.
Maybe
Okay,
maybe
well-
if they just like stayed on at least until the basketball courts are on, and then that would be more than enough.
Okay.
Oh yeah. If we get lights put in there.
Okay, let's go and get the status report from the Department of Parks and Recreation for Makiki Park.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so would any board members like to chime in?
Yeah. I know.
Russell, go ahead.
Just go home and sleep and eat.
Yeah, have a good run.
I'll probably see you guys.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, Russell, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Hi, everybody. Is this the skate park? Is that the one under the freeway? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, that very well could be a DOT jurisdiction. So let me go back to the DOT folks and see if that is indeed a state property and what can be done to address some of the issues there. So I'll take a look at that and I'll get back to, can I get back to you, Nathan? Is that the best way?
Yeah, I think we're on break for December,
Right.
so the next time you get back to us is January.
Okay. So I'll try to do some research and see if it is indeed part of the state Department of Transportation, given that it's under the freeway.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
all. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. That would be great. Okay, and is there anyone else who has anything to say? Okay, hearing none, I guess we'll move on. Thank you so much for Leela and Russell and Cal.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much, Nate.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Have a good one, Leela.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Have a good one. Moving on to unfinished business. So the resolution demanding the state and county of Maui to expedite its Maui County Resilience Hub network to be operational and explore models of a resilient city permanent center in accelerating the recovery and rebuilding of residential homes impacted by the August 8th, 2023 Maui wildfires. I forgot who originally Elena, I believe you're the one who wrote the resolution. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So the resolution, I'll give the context and then I'll talk a little bit about the content. So this particular resolution asking for Maui County to accelerate the operationalization of the Maui Resiliency Hub network was written 2 days after the August 8th fires. And of course, I'm sure all of us have witnessed or experienced in some shape or form the devastation. But it prompted me to think through how this might impact something like Makiki, considering our very densely populated high-rise towers, as well as we have a very unique topography with the wildland area up around Round Top and Tantalus. So I wanted to consider what was there available already in play that could look towards long-term solutions for something like Maui that could also be a model for Hawaii as well. And I discovered in my research that a resiliency hub for Maui County was already in play in 2019. And the last 2 steps of this larger process was analyzing a specific site in which to host this resiliency hub, which has not been completed yet. So as of now, it hasn't been in operation. Why this is so important for Makiki and I think Hawaii in general is the sense of resiliency for communities after a very devastating crisis or mass casualty incident. A resiliency center for Maui would provide a one-stop centralized location for residents and local businesses alike that wanted to rebuild in Lahaina to navigate a very tricky system for finding funding, for planning and permitting, for wanting to rebuild in a place where there's no infrastructure, finding contractors, materials, all of that would be provided in a more resiliency hub rather than them having to go from department to department and making it very difficult. So I do understand that there are some concerns about the wording. I'm ready to make some amendments once we get into discussion, but at this time, I make a motion that the Makiki Neighborhood Board number 10 adopt this resolution. And if there's a second, I'm happy to provide more discussion on the amendments.
Do we have any seconds?
I second.
Okay. And we're in discussion. Go ahead, Elena.
So one of the amendments I would like to make is within the title and everywhere and within the resolution that has demanding, considering the time that has passed, I would change the word demanding to urge, something more collaborative and participatory for our elected officials in moving this forward. So that would be in the title and also in the B for there it resolved. So I would make a motion at this time to amend the current resolution to change demanding to urging.
I second that.
Okay, and discussion? Well, hearing none. Oh, Corinne?
Yeah, I have a question for Elena. Is this something that, have you heard from Maui community members asking that we pass this resolution, or are they asking for this? Do you have any information about that?
Mr. Chair, is it okay to respond?
Yes, sorry. Go for it.
Sure, thanks, Corinne, for the question. So this resolution was also presented to the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, 300 members in attendance in its convention last month, at which we had over 63 members representing Maui County who voted unanimously for this particular resolution and support that there'll be equity and community focused efforts in rebuilding.
Okay, is there any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, I hope, is there anyone opposed or abstaining from accepting the amendment? Hearing none, I hope that we pass the amendment by unanimous consent. So that brings us back to the now amended resolution urging the state and county of Maui to, et cetera, so and so forth. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'm gonna hope to pass this by unanimous consent. Is there anyone opposed or abstaining from adopting the resolution? Hearing none, awesome. I believe the resolution is passed. Thank you so much, Elena, for putting this together and the work involved in that. Go for it. I saw your hand raised. No. And then moving on to concerns regarding illegal game rooms. So just this past Tuesday evening, there was the multi-board meeting, special meeting with a the presentation by Calvin Say, um, Tyler DeSantis Tam, and I'm sorry, who was it? Was it Police Major? I am blanking on his
Mike,
name at the
Mike
moment.
Lambert.
Mike Lambert, there we go. And they talked about the problems with illegal game rooms in our communities. Um, I guess we'll open this up for discussion. I attended the meeting. It was quite informative. I'm not sure what else to say. Corinne, would you like to, having also attended the meeting, would you like to say something?
Well, I thought it was interesting. It's an issue I'm unfamiliar with, so I felt like I learned something about this problem, and it seems like our legislatures are trying to do something to make it better. And I want to commend everyone who was involved in the organizing, which I believe Ian was involved in that, and all the effort they put in. It was pretty interesting to see so many neighborhood board chairs being involved in that collaboration.
And as one of the presenters, Councilmember, would you like to say something?
I would just like to say thank you very much for attending the town hall meeting. I truly believe that a lot of the participants learned a lot about our gaming problem that we have. That evening, it was fascinating for me to hear it on the other side of the coin, that gambling is an addiction, just like drugs, etc., etc. And that's where one of the participants asked the question, do we have any social services programs or mental health programs to address this particular addiction? And I don't know at this point in time, but there is Bill 57 and 58, which tries to crack down on these gaming homes or houses or dens that is prevalent in the county of Oahu. If you saw this morning's report on the headlines that there's over 100 plus gaming homes throughout the county of Oahu. And you know, the gaming houses today are basically sometimes gaming, but also drug transactions, and finally, human trafficking. All three of these vices are a part of that operation. But we are trying our best at the city level, and Corinne, maybe at the state level, the board can address it also, urging the Hawaii State Legislature to see how they can help law enforcement, which is HPD, the prosecutor's office, and finally, the judiciary, which is the continuum of law and order. So all three of these agencies have to be involved in the incarceration of these particular individuals. So in closing, I just shared with the residents and the board members and chairs that one thought was to address the landlord-tenant code, which is a state statute or state law whereby there will be severe penalties. If your property is being utilized as a gaming room, and the police and the prosecutors and the judiciary determines that, yep, you are guilty, maybe the city or the state should confiscate that property to make it a strong law for at the beginning to see what their reaction would be like. Right? If you're gonna just slap them with a fine, I don't think it's gonna work. And the bigger issue is that it doesn't have to be the first offense. Maybe talk about it as a second offense. But at the end of the day, how do we eliminate gaming homes? That was the discussion that we had. And if the landlord tenant code may be one because it is in non-compliant with what the rent of the property was for, boom, we have an opportunity to have a bench warrant or a search warrant on that property. But those were the two bills that we talked about, and I'll be open to it, but I need more help from you folks, the general public, because I want to hear all point of views. You know, not just the Attorney General's office or the police department, but the judiciary. Why are we just slapping the risk of these particular operators? I don't know. We have to make the call. But that's the kind of discussion I said to the participants who were there because they wanted action. What type of action? I think Tyler DeSantis Tam shared with them that we could deputize some of our building inspectors, or we get the police department to be interim building inspectors so they can see the wires going through the side of the walls, etc. That was discussed. But in the end, we needed more participation as far as discussion on the issue itself. But I am here to help eliminate these gaming homes. Because I brought it up that for District 5, I think we have the most. From Pololo Valley to Kapuhulu Kaimiki to Mo'iliili Makali and to the Alamoana Kaka'ako area and the Makiki area. I did share with was it Major Lambert a map that in individual gaming which showed 3 different gaming houses in Kaka'ako. So that's the difficulty that HPD has in trying to go undercover. But as far as the process of how they go about doing it, I don't know, because you would have to infiltrate that particular establishment. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I see Paul, you have your hand up.
Yes. Hi, Calvin.
Hi, Paul.
Man, this thing is so slow tonight. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I'll go ahead and drop the phone number for the, excuse me, please, the National Problem Gambling Helpline. Take away the customers, you'll take away the businesses, right?
Right.
And it's so popular. I mean, we're the #1 feeder to Vegas per capita. It's much easier to go in your neighborhood if you have to, or you can, obviously. So you're fighting an uphill battle. So trying to get rid of White Pahu's chickens and our fireworks. It's cultural at this point. But yeah, I think if you help the people who are suffering the most, which are the gamblers, and take the audience away from the show, there's no show. So I just dropped that phone number and share it with anybody or everybody you could think of, or put it somewhere public, so these people know what trouble they're getting into. These game rooms make all that money. It's coming from these gamblers. So yeah, I hope that number helps everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Are there any other board members? Richard Quano.
Yes, hi, Councilman. I have a concern about trying to come down on the landlords. That an unintended consequence would be that they would stop renting and switch into, sell their units for, convert them to, out of rental into another, like just selling that property into like a condo. And I guess you still have the same situation, but yeah, my concern is that the law, and I'm not a landlord, but to be very careful not to discourage rentals. And if I was a landlord, I would have a hard time dealing with that. It's hard enough dealing with all the other things the landlord has to deal with, and all of a sudden that you have to try to find out if one of your units is being used for gambling purposes. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your point is well taken, and that's where your participation is needed when the hearing is conducted, to give us the landlord point of view, and you hear the other points of views, and that's how we come up with the proper decision making. But thank you, Richard.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess hearing nothing from board members, are there any members of the public who would also like to chime in? Hearing none, I guess I had a question myself. So one of the things that came out of that meeting was public participation is very important. If we spot anything, we should call HPD right away. And they brought up a number of things like the illegal gambling home itself, and also more concerning is they're saying that a gambling home might or one of those establishments might test the waters to see if it's a good spot for a gaming room by putting a couple gaming machines inside of, I don't know, a small shop or something. So I had a question. In order to spot this kind of stuff, I have to kind of know what to look for. So what are the like big obvious public things that you should look for in spotting a gaming house? Just because I'm so ignorant on the matter. And what do these ga gaming machines look like if they pop up in one of our local, like restaurants or something? Paul?
Nate,
Yep.
maybe we can ask Lieutenant Sacucio because they,
Yeah, I was about to say. So, Lieutenant, go ahead.
The easiest way to spot a location that's a illegal gambling establishment is the high foot traffic in and out all times of the night, especially during the early morning hours. Look for air conditioning units. Air conditioning units piping into a closed room. Windows are not really boarded up, but they're like papered up or cardboarded up. You can't really see inside. And then you got multiple air conditioning units just going full blast all the time because they close all the windows and stuff like that. Um, Pretty much just the sorry, there's no other way to say it. The riffraff that comes into that location, right? I mean, obviously the people that don't generally live in the area are just going into that area. A lot of derelict vehicles being present. You know, a lot of guys come over there also to sell stolen items, stolen products, and stuff like that, so that they can get gambling play at those locations. But if you do have a location like that, real easy, get on our public website, contact our narco vice division, leave a detailed message about the location, the things that you see, maybe even license plates. And then a detective should be contacting you back, or an investigator within the division should be contacting you back, and then they can further on that investigation. Not trying to scare everyone, but District 1, 43 illegal gambling establishments, 43. So that is known, yeah. So we're trying to attack it one at a time. Major Lambert, fantastic person. He used to be a narco sergeant, a narco detective before, so he knows the techniques. In fact, he's only one of the few that can analyze machines, the pay to play machines, right? There needs to be it's called a statistical probability of winning, right? So sometimes what they do is they jimmy rig the machine in order for the house to have better odds in regards to the wins. And just in that sense, yeah, it's an illegal device. So some of these touchscreen devices look like I would say maybe about a foot and a half or about 2 feet wide. Same thing, about 2 feet deep. It's about a foot high. There's a money dispenser or a money acceptor on the right-hand side where you can put money. It'll give you chances of play per the money that you put in, credits, touch screen. Sometimes it's poker, sometimes it's other things. There's also other illegal devices. You guys seen it at Dave and Buster's and stuff like that, like those fish games. They just manipulate the motherboards on the inside for the pay to play. And then they're called credits, right? So that's how they get around it. There's no real cash being flown around in the establishment. They're called credits. So it's kind of a difficult thing. So our narco vice division has to go to a lot of trainings and with the mainland people, because they're the subject matter experts in regards to this stuff, so that we can prosecute them, right? But Councilman Say said it very well. We got to get together with the judiciary and the prosecutors and see what they're going to be willing to take, because it's just a problem for us as HPD to expend all of our energy trying to get these illegal game rooms and establishments taken care of, but they don't take the cases, or the cases get dumped or dropped or even reduced. We do forfeit the machines when those narco vice officers go to those locations. I think there was some high profile ones, like on Kapilani. I think Major Lambert was present at that one because there was several shootings. There was a murder at that location. I was present when that case was generated, and I think I think that was why they went to those locations. So the other problem with the gambling is not just the gambling, it's the narcotics that's being sold at the location. So that's why the Narco Vice Division is the subject matter experts of our department in regards to those types of investigations, because not only they have to deal with the gambling and the gambling machines, they have to deal with gambling ledgers, they also have to deal with the narcotics that are being sold from that location also. So hopefully that kind of opens everyone's eyes in regards to the pervasiveness of gambling. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Lieutenant, for a very, very thorough answer to my questions. I guess we'll start with Paul.
Thank you. Sorry about my digital problems here. I just wanted to reiterate or maybe enlighten. I was involved in doing something similar to this situation in upstate New York. And one thing I wish we warned everybody in advance. If you have a suspicion, these are syndicates. They have people pretty much everywhere. And putting your name out on it as someone who's complaining about it can get really dangerous really quick. Crime Stoppers is awesome. It's bulletproof as far as your confidentiality. It's a great place to drop your tips with pure anonymity. Because you got to be careful when you're coming after these very integrated syndicates of individuals. There's so much money involved, and like the officer said, it's a haven for all kinds of illegal activity. So please, as you're sharing this and getting people to notify law enforcement, I highly recommend pushing Crime Stoppers as an anonymous place to give those tips to protect yourself as well. Thank you.
Your point is well taken. Thank you very much, Paul. I see someone from in person has their hand up.
This is Harris Nakamoto. I wanted to ask Lieutenant Sabucio or council members say, in terms of what we're facing with these illegal gambling or gaming rooms or homes or residents, do you have communication with colleagues of areas where gambling is legal, like say Las Vegas? Do they face the same type of issues in terms of gaming rooms and so forth?
May I respond to that?
Yes, go for it.
Let me start off by saying this, Harris. Your point is very much well taken. Even in those states that have legalized gambling, you do have illegal gambling. And you know why? You don't pay anything to the regulators, which is state or county government. That is the big issue. So there is an underworld of illegal gaming rooms in Las Vegas and Reno, etc. Because there is no tax on their winnings compared to Las Vegas or legalized gambling in other states. Okay. Anything else you could follow up, Lieutenant Sagucio?
Oh yeah, that's pretty much it. There's always gonna be illegal gambling establishments because it's so lucrative. One of the lucrativeness with that thing being illegal is you don't pay the taxes, you don't pay the regulators, right? So in Las Vegas, Nevada, they have gambling commission, so that the gambling commission monitors all types of gambling. They monitor all the accounts and stuff like that. So to alleviate that, they just make up their own. You only legalizing gambling in at those locations, it just takes some of the customer base away. Majority of it's all tourist based, but just like I said, the major component to these illegal gambling rooms for Hawaii, I can't speak for Las Vegas, is the narcotics component. Yeah, so there's a narcotics component in regards to that location. Yeah, so if people use narcotics, they can stay up all night and they can gamble all night. And just like I said, in regards to the pervasiveness, we ended up locating a mahjong location here in Chinatown when I was corporal back in the day. So this is about 5-7 years ago maybe. And just the ledgers alone, the ledgers on a 3-day weekend was like 258,000. So I mean that's how pervasive it is over here. Yeah, I mean people just maybe not wanting to go to Vegas to gamble. They just want to be able to drive to a location. So we kind of monitor these locations. Obviously, a lot of vehicles parked in front of these locations at night and stuff like that. But yeah, gambling is very pervasive.
Thank you very much, Councilmember and Lieutenant. Is there, I guess, no more board input, is there anything any members of the public would like to ask or comment? I guess hearing nothing, we can move on. This is clearly, I'm sure it'll be a recurring issue that we'll touch on in the future. Yeah, thank you very much. And we'll move on to the presentations. Affordable Housing Project at 1142 Kino Street, Makani Maeva Ahe Group.
Where would you like us to?
You guys can stay right there, honestly.
Okay. We have some boards.
We'll put some boards right here.
Yeah.
Just because.
Good evening. I'm Makani Maeva, and I'm the president of the Ahe Group, and I'm an affordable housing developer. We develop housing, primarily rental housing. The project we're going to talk about tonight is on Kinau Street. To be named right now, called 1142 Kinau Street. I will pass it on to Keith Ishida, who's the planner within our office, to give you the details about the project. But I've been involved in affordable housing since 1995. I did my first project actually right on the corner of Kalakaua and Beretania, the Kulana Hale project. We are actively under construction on 3 projects right now on the island of Kauai, and one here on Oahu out in Kapolei, the Kapolei Parkway project. We also acquire and rehabilitate projects, so we're in both the new construction and the preservation space. So for example, you may have seen we acquired the abandoned Queen Emma building, the Pimple building, and we renovated that, brought it back to life, and there's 71 rental units there now. So I'll turn it over to Keith, who's Keith Ishida. He's with the Ahe Group. He's been a planner with the city and county of Honolulu before he retired. He was a planner there for 38 years. We've known each other a long time, and he's going to give you more details.
Thank you, Makani. I just wanted to orient everyone on where this project is located. So the property is located right on Kinau Street. So Kinau Street is the bottom white portion, and this is Piikoi Street, and then H1 freeway to the top. Okay, so the property is right here. It's located next to the Kinau Vista Affordable Housing Project, and behind there is the Piikoi Vista Affordable Housing Project. And along Kinau Street, as you all know, it's basically a series of condos and apartment buildings. And this property here, which is 17,750 square feet, is one of the last undeveloped or underdeveloped properties along that Kinau Street corridor. Directly across the street is the Kahumaru Elementary School that a lot of you are familiar with. So this is the location of the property. It's presently improved with about 5 older single-family dwellings, of which 3 of them are occupied by renters and 2 are vacant. They're kind of not being used right now. We view it as an opportunity to create a new inventory of much needed workforce housing for our people. And that's what we're striving to do with this property. So seeing as we're up here looking down, let me give you the bird's eye view of our project, our proposed project. We're proposing a new affordable housing complex with a total of 206 affordable rental housing units, all of which will be affordable to households earning less than 60% of median income in Hawaii. Okay? It'll be a mix of 95 one-bedroom units and 111 two-bedroom units. So we will be able to accommodate both singles, couples, as well as small and medium-sized families within the property. It'll also include 40 parking stalls, and project amenities will include a community room, community lounge in the lanai area, as well as management offices, to operate the project. So from now, I'll walk you up the project, basically, starting with the ground floor, and we'll go up the building. Thank you. So this is the ground floor of the building, and this is basically Hinao Street right here. So the building has basically a Makai to Mauka access, which is similar to most of those other buildings you'll see along that area. This is like almost like the public space of the building, where you have the elevators as well as the parking lot. And we also have 3 bicycle parking areas within the building, because we want to encourage bicycle use and that kind of thing, and accommodate a lot of that. There's also 1 loading zone on the ground floor. Pedestrians will enter the property off of Kinao Street and walk along this walkway to get into the elevator lot. Versus, the vehicular access is off kind of mid property right off Kinao Street. And only 1 driveway in and out. So this is the 2nd floor, and the 2nd floor is a mix of community spaces as well as a handful of residential units. So on the Mauka end, we have 5 1-bedroom units and 3 2-bedroom units. Our 1-bedroom units are 420 square feet, and the 2-bedroom units are 766 square feet. Next to the units are the management office. This is where our property managers will be. Next to that will be a laundry for resident use. It's not a public coin laundry, it's only for our residents. Off of that laundry is what we're calling, the lounge room, where you can actually hang out here while you're doing your laundry. And there's also a child's play area there. And there's also a multi-purpose room just above it. And both of these rooms will empty out into a open lanai. And the lanai is about 200 square feet, 700 square feet. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the importance of these community spaces a little bit later. But this will be the 2nd floor of the building, which is actually the 1st floor where people will live. After the 2nd floor, these are typical floors. In other words, these floors will be repeated. This floor panel will be repeated from the 3rd floor through the 20th floor of the building. It is basically a mix of, again, 5 1-bedroom units. And this time there are 6 2-bedroom units per floor for each floor. Okay? Again, there are stairwells on both sides. And the inner lobby floor is on the kind of mid-building, so you don't have to walk too far to your units. Okay? So this is a typical floor that people will live on, and it doesn't matter which floor you live on, same thing. Okay? So this is our typical floor. So when you stack them all up, it looks like this. So this is basically the front of the building that'll face Kinao Street. This is the building as it'll looking ever. Okay. Now, the first thing you should know about the building is it's designed as what a lot of people used to call Hawaiian single aisle, single loaded buildings, which means an exterior walkway to get to your unit. So you exit the elevator and you walk in an open air walkway. And the benefits of these Hawaiian single loads is ventilation, because what happens is wind can flow through the unit from one end to the other because there's no enclosed hallway blocking it off. Like when you have a double loaded corridor, units on both sides, it's a little warm sometimes. But with these single loaded units, what we'll be able to do is put windows and doors along the west side and allow wind to go right through those units. My wife and I used to live in a single unit at the consulate here in Makiki, and that's a single loaded building, and we loved it because it was so cool, and the building acts almost like a sail to capture wind and pull it into the building. So that's the benefit of this design. Up and down, and I'll show you the other side, which looks remarkably the same. So this is the building that as it look looking in Diamond Head. And there's no walkway on this side, so the building tends to be a lot more clean and linear on this side, as well as the Malca face, which will be facing the mountains, and the H1 freeway will be similarly kind of clean. We like this architecture because it kind of blends into what's there now. It's not something that'll stick out as far as design or, just looking too out of place within that corridor. It kind of blends in. We feel it matches the community. Now, one thing we want to talk about lastly is those community spaces and why they're so important to us. At the AHI Group, we work hard to create these very vibrant, livable, affordable communities. But Makani and I know that our work doesn't end when the building is done, right? We have to manage these buildings. And other thing we want to do is provide enrichment opportunities for our tenants. So our work doesn't stop once we have it up. It keeps going. This year, we started our Holomua program, which is our resident services program that we are bringing to all of our properties. And we actually have staff, in-house staff, to do the service coordination and to do provision of services to all of our residents. Okay. Now, it is exclusive to our residents. It's not something we can offer outside of our community. So it is exclusive to us. And we're kind of proud of that in the sense that we feel we can service our residents. So the reason why we have those community spaces there, like the community room, the lounge, the lanai, is we needed a venue to deliver some services and some enrichment to our clients. And that could include anything from just having parties or community get-togethers to having food drives, and what I mean by food drives is we bring food, for our residents who maybe are running a little short, as well as other types of health and human development programs to our projects. What we actually deliver to our projects is largely dictated through our social service team talking to our residents. So every project will be a little bit different. But by having an established program within our properties, it ensures that we deliver at least some services to improve basically the health and hopefully the livability of our program. We want our clients, our residents, to be more than residents. We want them to grow. We want them to have a good life and a happy life in our properties. And we think Holomua is a way for us to achieve that. So yes, Makani and I are housing people first, but we kind of, between she and I, we have over 50 years of doing this work. But we kind of, yeah, but I think through Holomua, we can kind of take the next step. And that's one of the benefits of our program and something I think we're proud of. So that's our project. It's basically, we're hoping to expand housing for basically the working people of Hawaii, because we think that's what's needed. That's who is not being served. And that's where the demand is. So we think we can do well for our group as well as do well for our community. And if you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Before we jump into questions, I think a bunch of us in the chat just please send digital if you could send a digital copy of this presentation to Logan, our neighborhood assistant. We would love to be able to better see that. And then I think when Logan gets it, hopefully he can share it so members of the public can also view it as well, since there's Marcia Kemple is interested in the digital copy as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And we'll go ahead and get started with Elena.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Makani and the AHE Group for your presentation, as well as your wonderful grounded intentions in affordable housing for residents. I'm wondering, considering the 2020 Kabainui project in Kailua, what has been AHE Group's engagement in community dialogue and getting feedback about this project? Can you share more about that, please?
We're here tonight for that specific reason. You're the first to see the project. No one else has seen it. You are the first to see it. We have not shared it with anybody else. This is our first cut. I've been doing this work for 30-something years for the city and county of Honolulu. This is how we do it. When I was at the city, so I brought this over to the AHE group. This is just how we choose to do our business. So you're the first to see it. And we're open to your comments and suggestions as we go forward. And we'll see you. That's all I can say.
Next up
Thank you. Just a
is
quick follow-up question.
Yes,
Oh,
go
sorry,
for it.
Chair. Just a quick follow-up question if there are intent to share this out with the community in some other venue or larger form. Thank you.
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
Is there an
missed it.
intent for
Go ahead, Alana.
Is there intent for the AHE group to share this out with the community in some other venue or larger form?
You know, we're always willing to go and make presentations to other community groups, but we always start with the neighborhood board, and that's why we're here.
Thank you very much. Corinne.
I forgive me if you already stated this, but I didn't catch what the mix of unit sizes in terms of like studios versus 1 or 2 or 3 bedroom units.
There'll be 95 one-bedroom units. The one-bedroom units are about 420 square feet. And there'll be 111 two-bedroom units. And that unit size is 766 square feet. That's all we have. We don't have studios or threes.
And I guess a member or someone in person.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for sharing this with the board, especially being the first, and fantastic project. One concern that I have, a big concern, is the parking. Okay, you have 206 units. You have 40 spots there. I know you have a lot of bike space, but what kind of studies have you done to make sure that this is not going to negatively impact our community as far as parking? Because parking is very tight, as you know.
I do know. You want to?
So I can address that. So I think one of the things to consider is if we put 300 parking spots here, that is what ultimately affects the traffic on that street, right? So in fact, by not having more parking stalls, we're discouraging car use and encouraging people to take public transportation, which is very accessible right from this location, as well as walk and take bikes. So this is an urban location, and we are trying to focus on really being able to deliver the housing in an urban location and encourage people to do that. There's car share. We are involved. We've worked with a project on Pi'ikoi Street that actually has a car share that people haven't been using it very much. You know, they just take public transportation, they just walk. The other thing I'd really like everybody to think about is I was able to put 40 stalls on the square footage of the site. If I wanted to try to deliver, let's say, 2 stalls per unit, I would have to take up 10 stories of parking, and I would then deliver half the number of units. So we really, as affordable housing developers, are trying to put housing first. And so that drove our decision. We also believe that housing is, you know, the top priority here, that cars and the sort of car-centric cycle is moving towards, you know, sort of fading out. You know, we're really trying to meet the highest need, which is really housing and not parking. So that's the decision sort of matrix there.
Queen Emma too.
Yeah, yes, it's a great example. We have a 71 unit project, which I mentioned at the beginning. We have 11 stalls there. No problems. We have the opportunity for our residents to actually take a parking garage, a couple Kukui tower, a couple over. They don't want. They can walk to their jobs. They can walk to the grocery store, to the Safeway right there. They can walk to, you know, churches. They can get right on the bus. So really, we've seen that it hasn't impacted us in any way. We're 100% occupied and have been, even when we rented up during COVID. So.
Is there another person in person that has their hand up?
Just curious, what is ground, breaking ground?
Our plan is to take our project to the city council. We're hoping to get a 201H. This will give us some waivers from development fees. And so we'll need 2 readings of the city council for approval of that. We're going to take advantage of because we don't think we'll make it in time for the financing program applications at HHFTC, which are only in February. But we don't want to wait a whole year. So we're going to use the governor's emergency proclamation for housing to get an immediate approval for the project as 201H, and then in parallel go through the city process. And so there'll be a committee meeting and 2 hearings of the full council for a vote. So we're trying to apply for tax exempt bonds, private activity bonds, and 4% low-income housing tax credits to the State of Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation in February of 24. We would hear positively or negatively by July, August of 24, and then we could begin construction pending building. So our plan is to submit for permits for the end of this calendar year to just get in the queue. We know that it takes us 2 years for a permit, but maybe, just maybe, if we're waiting in line, we'll get it faster, and then we'll just be ready to go as soon as we can get a permit.
Hope springs eternal.
Yes, yes. If we weren't ridiculous optimists, we wouldn't be affordable housing developers.
They broke ground on another project that Coffee Safeway, I noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a lot going on that street.
Which is good.
But I understand the parking,
Mhm.
and promoting alternative modes of transportation is, I think, a good thing, so.
And okay, and next we have Richard.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation, and I strongly support the project. I hope it gets built as soon as possible. But what is the financial, you know, what's the parameters for who can qualify to move into these rental units?
95% of the units will be rented at 60% of the median income and below, and 5% will be rented at 30% of the median income and below.
Okay, so the
rent?
the income limits for who is a 60% of median income household. So a family of 2 earning $62,880 a year is 60% of median. A family of 4 earning $78,600 is 60% of median. And I didn't bring the 30% number, but it's substantially lower.
Half of that.
Yeah, half of that roughly. Yeah.
And how much would the rentals be? Like the one bedroom, 2 bedroom?
Okay,
You have that
right.
parameter.
I have the rental rate only for 60%. I'm sorry, Makiki. For a 1-bedroom unit, the 60% rent would be $1,473. That is the maximum rent. Sometimes we charge less than that because of market conditions. The 2-bedroom 60% rent is $1,768. Okay. And just for comparison, right now the fair market rent in Makiki, which is which is not the median rent, but what HUD considers fair market rent. A 1-bedroom is $1,600 a month, and a 2-bedroom is $2,110 a month. So the 60% rate is somewhere between $200 and $300 cheaper than the fair market rent.
It's also important to note that those numbers include utilities.
Yep.
So we'll give a utility allowance, essentially analyze the utility costs for the unit. They're published by the city and county of Honolulu, and so we'll deduct. So if the rent was $1,400, it's probably $200, I'm just gonna, off the top of my head, towards utilities. So the net rent to the resident is $1,200. Similarly for the 2 bedrooms. So there's that is the gross rent, including your utilities.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next we have Corinne.
Yeah, is this building gonna be operated by the Hawaii Public Housing Authority, or is it gonna be entirely private? How does it work?
No, we're a private developer. We will hire a third-party property management company. We use several management companies. It will either be Indigo Real Estate Management or EAH to do the on-site and everyday management. This is not, Hawaii Public Housing Authority is a government state entity, and this is private affordable housing.
Okay, are there any other board members who have any questions? Seeing none, moving on to any members of the public. I believe Marsha Campbell, was your question answered?
Hi, this is Marcia. Yes, it was answered, and thank you. I'm so glad. I didn't know this presentation was going to happen, but it sounds so great. As I said in the chat, I was a huge supporter of the Kailua project that these guys tried to build, which was voted down very unfortunately, and this serves such a huge need in our community. So my hat's off to you guys. Thank you.
Your point is well taken. Thank you very much, Marcia. Are there any other members of the public who have anything they'd like to add? Seeing none, thank you very much for the presentation. It sounds very exciting, adding so many units to our housing pool that's so desperately needed.
And we'll get the electronic copies of these files over to you probably tomorrow morning, and we'll go from there.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then moving on to community reports, the Makiki Lower Punchbowl Neighborhood Security Watch report. Chuck, do you have anything for us?
No, it's not a great way.
Yeah. Chair, in the interest of time, I'll just pass on my report for this month.
Awesome. Thank you very much. The Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization, SteelQuest.
I don't think John is online today.
Okay, yeah, I don't see him either. Okay, so we can go ahead and move on to resident community concerns. And then I believe Julie Chang has an announcement.
Hey, my name is Julie, and I work for Catholic Charities as a program volunteer coordinator for a new project called Transportation Friends for Kupuna, or TFK. Thank you for fitting me into the agenda to be able to make this announcement. I'm happy to speak to you today about this new project that will match volunteer seniors age 55 and older to provide free transportation and/or chaperone assistance to frail kupuna living independently on Oahu who need assistance. Many of these kupuna don't have family or friends available to help them. So this is where our volunteers come in and fill the gap By 2030, the elderly population is projected to account for more than a quarter of our state's population. And as we age, we all know that driving and walking become more difficult. So TFK is dedicated to senior mobility. With TFK, male volunteers will serve male clients and female volunteers will be paired with female clients. So I'm making a little plug today and asking if you're a senior who enjoys helping and getting to know other seniors. If you like to serve and want more joy in your life, then TFK is looking for you. So we're now recruiting volunteer seniors that are age 55 and older to provide this free transportation and or chaperone assistance to kupuna living on Oahu. Think about what a blessing you would be to our kupuna. And so in closing, if you or anyone, if you know anyone who's interested in being a volunteer with TFK, or even interested in receiving the services in 2024, then please contact me at the number that's on the bottom of the screen, 808-527-4783. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you so much.
Chair, this is Richard.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. Richard, go ahead.
Yeah, Julie, what are the, if somebody volunteers, what kind of a screening process do you have?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we do want, safe matches, with the volunteers and the clients. And so there is a vetting process. So we do interview, check references, background checks, on all of, and provide a training and orientation to all of our volunteers.
Thank you. Yeah, wish you folks the best. It's a wonderful project.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much, Julie, for the announcement. It sounds great. I hope it goes through. Are there any other resident or community concerns? Hearing nothing, we'll move on ahead. I unfortunately accidentally just closed my agenda. What is the next agenda item, Logan?
It's council member said.
Okay. Council member, go for it.
Thank you very much once more, Nathan, and to all of you, the board members and residents. My report is in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you folks may have. But I did wanted to say that there is a good news that we had submitted to all of you, and that was the adoption of the resolution 23227, which is the condemnation acquisition of land for public use in regards to 1421 Pensacola Street. 6 years in the making. Okay, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you folks may have at this point in time, or take back questions that you folks may have.
Are there any questions or from Richard?
Yes, Councilman. Yeah, thank you so much. It's great news. Now, how long will this take for this to happen? Like 1 or 2 years?
You may be correct. 1 or 2 years, yes. Going through the judicial process.
And then what's going to happen to the property for city use?
And that would be the question for our future council members and state legislators to determine that also.
Okay.
And all of you folks.
Okay. Well, I will be holding my breath, or maybe I won't be holding my breath.
No, you
But
won't.
It's
You'll
good
be alive.
Thank you so much for working on this for so many years. And hopefully in the future, it won't take so long if something like this happens again.
Well, that's where I think all of you, as far as the old-time members of the board, realize that we did have legislation in regards to the non-judicial foreclosure law that we tried to pass the past 3 years. And I think this time around we beat the legislature to the punch, and we're moving ahead with the county doing it on its own.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions from the board, are there anyone from the public who have any questions for the council member? Hearing none, thank you so much, council member, for
Thank you. Nathan, may I just introduce a new employee for the office that took Melville's position? And that is
Go for it.
Andrew Bomsafan. Can you show your video so that people know who you are? This is Andrew.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next, we have council member Tyler DeSantos Tam's office.
Hi everyone. So I put our monthly newsletter in the chat, and I also wanted to congratulate you all again for Councilmember Say's effort in passing Reso 227. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let me know, like on the game rooms package and everything. Yeah, I'm here.
Nathan,
Yes.
I want to tell Robin thank you and my staff thank you, because we had a great communication WebEx with Chick-fil-A, and Chuck knows about it, that we had a great meeting in regards to what they could do to alleviate the traffic congestion also. But Chuck, thank you for all that you do for the board.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you for your support and help all the time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments from the board for Robin? Hearing none, is there anything from any members of the public? All right, well, thank you very much, Robin. And next up is Mayor Rick Belangiardi's representative, Office of Housing Executive Director, Denise Matsubara.
Aloha and good evening, members of the board. October was marked by several key events that demonstrated the city's momentum when it comes to housing. On October 11th, Mayor Belangiardi took part in a blessing ceremony at the Hawking Building in Chinatown, where 40 affordable units are under construction. The project received nearly $4 million from the city's Affordable Housing Fund. 3 days later, on October 14th, ground was broken at 1226 Kinau Street, where developer Paul Lam is leading the effort to build 25 new affordable rental units using the modified zoning and building codes under Bill 7 and shallow grant subsidies under Bill 1. These regulatory adjustments and financial incentives aim to spur low to moderate density affordable housing in areas where infrastructure already exists and is zoned for apartments or mixed use. As construction begins on Kinau Street, a similar project located nearby on Ernest Street, also by Paul Lam, has completed construction and is set to open this month, adding another 25 units for those in need of affordable rentals. To top things off, a project has been in the works for decades, took a major step forward on October 17th, when Mayor Belangiardi helped break ground on a 140-unit rental project for low-income seniors called Halewiliko, which is on city land at the site of the old Aiea sugar mill. The city provided roughly $6 million from its Affordable Housing Fund for this project. As far as, well, before I go further, I really want to thank Councilmember Say and Councilmember DeSantos Tam. They have been champions of affordable housing And I know projects face challenges as they come before some neighborhood boards and before the community and the council. And thanks to these council members, they have been really staunch supporters of affordable housing. The other thing I wanted to report on was the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability and Resiliency is seeking public comments on its climate adaptation strategy. To adapt to the impacts of changing climate, the city has created a community-driven climate adaptation strategy called Climate Ready Oahu that outlines actions for adapting to sea level rise, increasing temperatures, and other climate hazards. The draft was released this month, and CCSR invites you to share your mana'o by submitting public comment at climatereadyoahu.org. So please do submit your comments. And I just wanted to make a comment on the 1421 Pensacola Street eminent domain lawsuit. So council member is exactly right. It takes about 1 to 3 years because that is the judicial process, but it does come to fruition because we are actually moving on another condemnation, which is 1615 Alawai, I believe. So that one is actually moving forward. So it takes time because of the judicial process, but there's hope at the end. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Denise. Are there any questions from the board first? Richard, go for it.
Yes, Denise. Yeah, it's great to hear about all these projects. But what is this current shortfall in housing? Say somebody is homeless, they don't have a job, they want to get into something. My understanding is there's often no place to put them. Where do we stand with situations like that?
So are you talking about
I'm sleeping.
a homeless issue?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. What was your comment?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yeah, sure. So what's the status of the situation right now? Say somebody was homeless, they wanted housing, but they couldn't afford it. Or say somebody's in the hospital, they're homeless, they have surgery, they get released from the hospital. I know there's that project across the street from Queens Hospital. Is that being fully utilized? And yeah, if you could comment on that.
So the homeless problem and the housing problem has been a long-standing problem. They're different but connected, and they're very complex. So at the end of the day, a homeless problem is sort of a housing problem as well, but it's much more than that because it takes supportive services. It takes a lot of other programming. So there are a number of initiatives, and the Department of Community Services is the department that administers the homeless programs for the city. But most of the programs and most of the outreach comes from the nonprofits. And the nonprofits for the Honolulu area is primarily, I think it's IHS. So, there are various, I guess, shelters and transitional housing. And my understanding is they have spaces. Part of the challenge, from what I understand from those providers, is that you have to voluntarily want to go. And part of that big challenge is folks don't want to go because there's often rules to follow. You can't bring your drugs with you. Some of them don't allow pets. So there's a number of reasons why it's a very long answer. Partners in Care is a provider that is sort of the clearinghouse to help folks match up and issue vouchers for it. But it's a very complex answer But the answer is there are a number of programs out there, and there's also a lot of nonprofits serving the homeless. There just isn't enough. And at the end of the day, the realization has to be it's voluntary. You have to want to go to one of these places. For instance, the city opened up the Evenly Resource Center with the core in there, and they had, I think, 18 or 20 beds. But it, as open as it was, and they actually have an ambulance go around to pick folks up, what they found was people would come in, they would have them clean, give them clothes and supplies and feed them. But after an evening or a day of having to follow rules, not bringing in substance and other stuff, there's a choice to be made. And unfortunately, that choice is sometimes not to stay within the rules or within the confines of that.
All right, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Okay, and I see people cleaning up in the background there. So, really quick, is there anyone else from the board who would like to say something? Anyone from the public? Okay, moving on. Thank you so much, Denise.
You're welcome.
Your monthly report. Next is, do we have Governor Josh Green's representative, Russell Payne?
Okay, yes, aloha everyone. Russell Pang here from the Department of Transportation, representing Governor Josh Green. So I will put Governor's newsletter, November newsletter, in the chat room. Governor is currently in Japan promoting tourism, encouraging Japanese visitors to return to our islands, and working on other business development issues there. So we wish him much luck and success in bringing visitors back to our wonderful state. Let's see. As Lieutenant Sagusio mentioned earlier, the Department of Transportation is continuing with repaving of the H1 freeway, and this extends from Miller Street all the way to the University interchange. So the Kapiolani interchange, excuse me. This week, there is a closure tonight, actually, going to start at 8:30. This is westbound, and this will be from the University interchange to Alexander Street. So if you are going that direction, you will need to detour. This will also take place on Sunday evening, this coming Sunday, November 19th. So just if you're going westbound, you will need to exit at either the Kapiolani exit and then make your way back to Alexander Street in order to get back onto the H1 westbound. Next week, during Thanksgiving week, they will suspend some of the construction. In addition, there's also the various UH activities at the Stan Sheriff Center. So UH has asked the state to suspend some of the construction so as not to create too much of a backlog for the community. So closures of the H1 in this area will be suspended until November 26. So the best way to get updates on road closures is through the DOT website, Facebook, or Twitter accounts. And I'll post all of those links in the chat room after my report. And just one more thing, I did want to report that the Department of Transportation's homeless coordinator earlier this month worked closely with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to remove 4 illegal encampments. This is in the area along Prospect Street at the base of Punchbowl. This is Department of Hawaiian Homeland's property, and there have been reports of illegal encampments, some fires, and other illegal activity. So happy to report that the Department of Transportation was able to work with DHHL to address that situation. And other than that, I will take any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the report. And then I guess you'll follow up with what we're asking earlier, I guess,
Yes,
about
I'll
the
follow up on
skate
the
park.
skate park. Yes, definitely, and a report back in January. So,
All right. Thank you very much.
thank you very much, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, and moving on, Senator Carol Fukunaga, if she's still here.
Aloha.
Go ahead. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Russell, for that completion of the work in the Prospect Street area. The residents who had complained very much appreciate all of that hard work, and we have been in touch with DLNR and DHHL, and so look forward to working to further secure that area during the next session. Just wanted to give a big shout out to the Tuka group who really did an outstanding job of putting together the Kimchi Festival last weekend. And for those who were able to visit them, the food, the booths, the crafts, performances, and everything were awesome. And so I hope that as you celebrate or get ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, you also spend a little bit of time celebrating National Kimchi Day on November 22nd. This year is the first year of Hawaii's celebration of Kimchi Day. And the exciting thing is that we hope that this will become an annual event. And since Hawaii's Korean American community has a lot of projects within the Ala Moana and Keamoku Street and Makiki region, I hope that we can really turn this into a much bigger event, and certainly one that we can really be proud of. So other than that, you have my report. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much for your report. Really quick, since I think we're just about out of time. Paul, go for it.
Carol, I just want to say thank you very much for attending the Korean Festival. We had a great time with my daughters. Is there anything else we can do as a board to support other organizations to use the park for such events? It was so beautifully put together. They cleaned up immaculately afterwards, and it was just such a great use of the park. Thank you very much, and good to see you there as well.
Well, I think one of the things that, many organizations could do is perhaps come together in participating in the Kimchi Day Festival. And, every group might have their own specific activities. I think it would be a great way to celebrate. And, not only is kimchi a great example of something healthy, but it's also good for you. It's fun, and it sort of brings the whole family together. So look forward to seeing how we might be able to encourage additional organizations to participate and really broaden next year's celebration.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator. And I guess seeing no one else's hands up, we'll go ahead and keep plowing forward here. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Next
Aloha.
up we have Representative Della Bellatti's office.
Good evening, Nathan. Tom Heinrich for Representative Della Bellatti. She was on until about 8 o'clock, and then she had to get on the road. So let me just keep this real short. You've had some very, very interesting discussions this evening, not just about affordable housing, but also other issues relating to homelessness. Let me point out a couple of things very quickly here. I encourage you to try to take a look on the legislature's webpage or website. at www.capital, spelled O-L, capital.hawaii.gov. And then to navigate to the House Committee on Health and Homelessness web page. Easiest way to look for that is the abbreviation for the committee is HLT. So it's pretty easy to get to, but I emphasize that because in the last week and a half, we've had several informational briefings already. One especially having to do with Medicaid and other assistance that relate to homelessness and everything. So there's a lot of good information in the PowerPoint presentation that is posted on the Health Committee webpage. But also coming up this coming Monday, November 20 at 9 in the morning is an informational briefing by the Honolulu Emergency Services Department having to do with EMS and also CORE. The CORE program standing for Crisis Outreach Response and Engagement. Is a growing program by the city and county. And so the director and other members of the Emergency Services Department will be here at the Capitol. And that meeting will be on live stream and recorded and be saved onto the House YouTube channel. So that's Monday, November 20. There's also another informational briefing on Wednesday, November 22nd, also at 9 in the morning, about the State Department of Human Services homeless programs. So updates there. And then finally, on Monday, November 27, this one at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, are updates by or being led by James Koshiba, who is the governor's coordinator on homelessness. And this especially addressing some of the updates on the Kauhale and Ohana Zone initiatives. There were some comments and questions about that in your meeting earlier this evening. So a lot happening on that. If you can't watch live or whatever, again, the meetings will be recorded and easily accessed on the Capitol's website. Okay, let me wrap it up this way. Time is getting short, not only in this meeting, but the regular session for 2024 begins on January 27. That's basically just a short 2 months away. So if you have legislative concerns, some of which have come up in earlier discussions this evening, or other ideas for possible bills or resolutions, now is a very good time to reach out to your elected officials so we can try to do some research and get ready for January 17. Okay, let me stop there. And if there are any questions, whatever. Thanks, Nathan.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. I think I've been advised that we are about out of time, so I will unfortunately cut short the question period. But thank you so much, Tom, for showing up as you always do.
Appreciate it.
So I guess we'll go ahead and defer board business until next time. So consideration of board budget, committees, establishment of additional committees, etc., and approval of regular meeting minutes for September, and we'll skip straight to announcements. So the next regular meeting is of the Makiki Lower Punchbowl Tantalus Neighborhood Board number 10 is scheduled to be held on January 18th, 2023 at 6 p.m. at Makiki District Park and online via WebEx. The meetings can be viewed on Olelo Focus 49 at 9 p.m. on the first Friday of the month and again on the first and third Sunday at 3 p.m. You can follow us at on Facebook at facebook.com/MakikiNB. That's Makiki, the letter N and the letter B. Oh, go for it, Tom.
Just real quick, I know you're short on time, but Melanie for Representative Andrew Garrett is here.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Yes.
Thanks.
Melanie, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, good evening, Nathan. No problem. And I know we're out of time. Just one announcement real quick. We're having our first public hearing for the Maui Wildfire Jobs and Business Working Group next Tuesday at 2 p.m. at the state capitol. And of course, as Tom mentioned, if you have any ideas for bills or legislation, please contact our office. And any questions or concerns, please contact us directly. I know we're out of time this evening, so thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and I guess what is it? Motion to adjourn since we are out of time.
Move to adjourn.
All right. I think
Second.
we are adjourned.
Merry Christmas
Cool.
and Happy New Year's, everybody.
Thank you so much. Sorry for the super rushed ending there.